Welcome to this demonstration of nationwde Communications hosted phone systems. In this demonstration we're going to show you how you can actually self-provision extensions on your portal, how you can assign phone numbers and change all your inbound routing. The first part of this demonstration is typically done for you by nationwde Communications upon setup, so we'll have created all your inbound rules, your extensions, and typically in 99% of cases if you need extensions added you can just contact customer services. But we're going to show you how to do that today. So the first thing we're going to start by doing is just talking you through what you can see on screen at the moment. So this is a demonstration account, and we've got a couple of options here, which is edit client, which is basically just changing name and address details. Not really needed for as far as your average customer is concerned for the phone system. What we can look at here is extension groups, so if we want to be able to bunch call recordings together, which we'll look at shortly. Email templates, which is very useful, so if you want to be alerted to certain actions, so voicemails being left, this is where you can control all that information. Add sounds is on there, so if you want to record pre-connection greetings, that's the greeting that your customer will hear before your call starts, before the phone starts ringing. All that information can be stored there. And the most important thing here is to add an extension. So we're going to go ahead and start adding some extensions, and we're going to sort of build this phone system. So you'll see near the bottom here we've got a couple of options, which is a phone terminal, which is a phone line, a queue, and an IVR. So to start with, we're just going to put a company name as test, contact name being test1, and the login we're just going to call that test1 as well. Okay, we can leave all this other information here blank, and we're just going to say it's a phone terminal. And we're going to click OK. Now we're going to be given a series of options to make the extension multi-user aware. So that basically means that it can be contacted by other extensions. So that's always text, otherwise you're not going to be able to transfer calls between. And here we've got a list of options as well for incoming phone number selection. So when you're setting up your phone system, just tell us what sort of numbers you need, if any. We can port in your existing phone numbers, but if you need additional ones we can source those for you, typically in 60 minutes or less, and you'll find those on your system for you. So you can just assign a direct dial. So in this case I'm just going to click here, and you'll see now the assigned public phone number for this extension has moved across, and that's all done. Just going to click OK. That's going to load and provision. We then now ask to say what caller ID is set in public calls. So this is the caller ID that you want to display. So you can display the ID of that particular extension. You can say your general company ID. In this case, I'm just going to put that in as the nationwde number. We're going to say preserve original caller ID on transferred calls. So that means if I transfer a call internally, I'll be showing the customer's caller ID that they called in on, rather than the extension number. That will actually show up anyway. For voicemail, every extension comes with free voicemail. I'm going to say that we've got voicemail, it's unlimited. Delete all the extensions after 30 days. Set up a voicemail password. I'm going to say voicemail automatically kicks in after 20 seconds. If I wanted to add call recording to this extension, I'd just tick to say call recording function enabled. I could set that to unlimited, and then all inbound and outbound calls to and from that extension would be recorded. So that's all done now, and as you can see there now, we've already got one extension that's been created, and that's effectively ready to be connected to either a soft phone, which can be downloaded free of charge from a PC, or that can be connected to a fixed phone. So a Cisco 7940 is popular, as are the Snom M9 wireless phones. I'm going to create one more extension, just because I want to show you how we can add these to groups. So I'm just going to call this test. I'm going to call that test2. And the password is going to be test2. Again, I'm going to say it's a phone terminal and click OK. Multi-user aware, I'm going to assign its phone number there as well. It's on direct dial. It's going to be, we're going to preserve the original caller ID. I want the caller ID to be the office number. Again, I'm going to say voicemail's active. It's unlimited. Delete after 30 days, enter a voicemail password, and that voicemail password is the number that you'll type in on your phone when you dial into it, just to retrieve your voicemail securely. And now you can see we've got two extensions, again, ready live, ready to be connected. So the next thing we're going to add now is a queue. Now the queue's one of the most popular features of our phone systems. The queue will allow, when a call comes in, you can have a pre-connection greeting on the queue. So that can be, welcome to Stafford Communications, we will now connect your call. So it's a really professional entrance to your business. What it also allows us to do is route calls to all phones. So basically all phones can ring together at the same time. It also means that if all your lines are actually tied up, rather than the customer hitting an engaged tone or hitting voicemail straight away, they'll actually be placed on hold. They'll be told what the position is in the queue as well. So every 30 seconds it will tell them, position 2, position 1. And then when you answer the phone, when you become available, the system will tell you how long that customer's been on hold for, just so if they've been waiting for a while, just make sure that you're aware of it. And when we come to look at queue settings now, you'll see that there's a bit more intelligence to that as well. So with creating a queue, I'm just going to call this test queue, and I'm going to call this okay. So that's all set up. I know I accept username and password being the same, but we'll see. That's fine. Okay. Now, if you want your mainline number to go straight into that queue, so your callers hear the pre-connection greeting, that's where we'd assign it a phone number. I'm not going to do that in this instance. I would say 90% of customers will go that route. So, your existing telephone number that you've got now that people ring in on, we will port that into our system and assign that to the queue, because that's the entry point for the phone system. Direct dials are great. Problem is, people are ringing your phone directly, so they're bypassing all the intelligence of the queue. So, where possible, we tend to advise people to not do that. So we're on some settings for the queue now. So the distribution algorithm. So this is where we say who's going to take the calls. Again, most popular is ring all. So it just rings all the phones simultaneously. Person who picks it up gets it. We've got a couple of other popular options that I'm just going to cover. So least recently called, speaks for itself. The fewest calls, again, speaks for itself. Random is exactly that. Round robin with memory, so it will basically start ringing round one after the other, but with memory will work based on the least person with the least number of calls. And these other settings in there as well that we're not going to look at. You can say here how long to wait before ringing people again. So rather than just being ring, ring, ring on the person's phone, and they'll hear a little beep when it rings through, it doesn't interrupt the current call that they're on. You can just say how long that's going to be before it retries. And you can add a service level agreement in there, which is great for the reporting elements of the system. There's some great graphical reports in here that show you with any given date range, so from date to date, how many calls you receive, what the average wait time was for the customer. If you add service level agreement in there, it'll basically just put a line across a bar chart to say, here's the calls that breached that service level agreement. So that's great if you're running an inbound office where answering the call quickly is important. Record all queue conversations. So basically that will actually record the customer. Obviously they won't be talking to anybody in the queue, but will record the customer whilst they're in the queue. That's great for some customer services, because if you see that people are on hold for a long period of time and they're getting frustrated and they're talking, you can kind of get a sense of what customers are experiencing as they're waiting to be connected. Local agent behaviour is important. So basically, this is where it basically says how long you want to maintain between calls. So if an agent has taken a call, you can give them a break. Say they can't take another call then for 120 seconds. Most typically, we'll just put that down to 10 seconds. Just because obviously we want them to be able to take a call straight away. There's lots of other features in here. I'm not going to cover them all now. Play welcome sound is really important. So this is basically where, if we add a sound and then we can just go and upload it, this is where you can record your pre-connection greeting. So that can just be, welcome to Stafford Communications, we'll now connect your call. Announce hold time. So this is basically how I'm positioned. So we tick both of those, tells them what the position in the queue, and what the average hold time is. So that'll just work through there, and we can change this to how often that announcement's going to take place. We can do call breakout as well. So what you can basically say is, at any time to leave a voicemail, just press option 1, and then we can basically just on here we would just say put it through to a particular extension when they press any particular number on the keypad. And then we've got lots of sound file setups, so we can change basically if a call queue hold time elapses, what do we do with it, what message, call waiting. If you want to record promotional messages, so 50% off, all of that can be put on there for you as well. So it's a great way to inform your customers to what's happening with your business. Queue behaviour is the most important section. So this is where we can say if someone's been holding for more than X period of time, what do we do with it? So in most circumstances people say, if someone's been holding for more than, say, 60 seconds, we're going to put them through to a particular extension, in case this extension 1. When no calls are allowed to enter the queue, so if for some reason the exchange was to break at the end of your street, it's extremely rare. What do we do with that call? So again, we can just say go through to extension 1, and when the call is dropped from the queue, literally just doesn't happen, but it's there as an option anyway. What do we do? So it basically just means there's always an avenue for a customer to go to. And we're going to say preserve original caller ID on transferred calls, which is really important because we want to see the caller ID of the person that's ringing, not the caller ID of the queue. So that's the basic setup of the queue. And once we've done all that, we're just going to click OK. That queue is now provisioned, and you can see it there. Now we're going to click into the queue, and we're just going to do a couple of other things. We're going to go into queue agents, and we're going to add local agent. So this is where now we say what phones are actually part of this queue group. So I'm going to add extension 1. And as soon as that's completed, there we go, I'm just going to add number 2. So now you can see I've got 2 extensions as part of that group, and I'm going to log them both in. So so where's any calls now that get connected to that queue, those agents are actually part of it. So if you had 10 extensions, and you wanted different businesses, so you'd have multiple numbers, and you didn't want all of the phones to ring when certain numbers are dialed, or if you've got an IVR, an auto attendant, so press 1 for sales, 2 for service, you might only want certain phones to ring when certain options are selected, and that's ultimately how we build that. And we're going to look at IVRs in a few moments. There's some other options in there, such as queue reports. We're not going to look at that now because there's obviously it's a test extension, there's no calls been added into that. So I'm going to go up 1 level, and last thing that we're going to add, as this demonstration is, we're going to add an IVR. So I'm going to select the IVR option, and I just need to pop a bit of information in here. So we're going to say test IVR, test IVR, and we'll add that. Okay, multi-user aware, and I'm going to assign a public telephone number to this IVR. So the IVR is a great function if you've got multiple business departments, you want to be able to farm calls out to different people, or if it's important for you to know what option a customer selected, even if they're all going to go to the same people. An IVR is ultimately what you're looking for. So what we're going to dive in with is we're just going to say preserve original caller ID. Everything else we're just going to leave as is for now. And you'll see the IVR is created, and now what we're going to do is get in and start to provision that IVR service. So we're going to go to IVR setup, and first of all we're going to add a context. The context is the entry point. So now that we've added that, we've got a start context. And we click start, and we're going to say, this is where we can say some actions. So normally what we do is we can we can play a sound. So welcome to. So in this case, we'd say play sound. Go and select the sound from the options. Typically people upload their own, so it'll be welcome to Stafford. Press 1 for sales, 2 for service, etc. I'm just going to add something random just so that we've got something on there. We're not going to listen to it. And now that's my start context added. So when people ring the main number, which is the IVR, they're going to hit start, and you'll see they'll hear the message. Then what we do is we start to have our number options. We've got 0 through to 9, then hash and star and hash. So if I want to say an option which is press 1 for sales, the first thing I'd want to do is mark that as a sales option. So what we first thing we do is we choose alter caller ID number with static value. Yep. So I would call that sales. And that means when the call comes through on your phone, it will actually say call for sales, so people are able to distinguish between. And then what I can do is say transfer call to extension number, and it'll ask me what extension number it is. And typically people will put it through to the queue, because then that will ring all phones in the queue in part of that group, which we've seen before. Click OK. And that's now been added, and you'll see when we go back into the context, which is the IVR, option 1's now has gone green. That shows that we've completed that. Invalid, so if someone presses a number that's not part of your options, typically you'll just record a message say it's an invalid selection, and we'll take them back to the start context, which is, press 1 for sales, 2 for service, and ultimately you're just going to work your way through all of those options. It can be multi-layered as well. So if you've just got, for sales, press 1, and for customer services, press 2. There's options there as well. So, if that was sales, ultimately what we would then do, if we go on up level, we would add a context, so we'd call that sales, and then this is now a new set of IVRs options. So customers come in, they press 1 for sales, we'd record a message to say thank you, you've selected sales, something to that effect. For new orders, press 1. For after sales, press 2. And again, you just build all your options until the customer ends up exactly where they need to be. And there's unlimited number of options. Typically, you want to keep an IVR as concise as possible. Otherwise, people tend to just get a little bit fed up of going around in circles. But if you've got multiple departments within a business, then having an IVR tends to be very useful. The last thing we'll do is we'll hit generate IVR. We'll just go back and set this up. And just say this is the entry context, just so we know that that's the context that they start with. Generate IVR, done, and that's now live. So, the way this system's now going to work is people are going to ring the IVR. They'll hear they'll hear a company welcome, so welcome to Stafford. Press 1 for sales, 2 for service. If they then needed more options, once it's selected it, so if it's a billing inquiry or if it's a new sales inquiry, there's multiple levels to it. Whatever they select, they're going to enter a queue. They're going to be held there. All phones within the relevant group are then going to ring together, see on screen exactly what people have selected, and they can answer the call and take them there, knowing how long the customer's been held for. From the customer's perspective, they've got a really professional welcome to your business, and also the call's been professionally handled as well. A couple of other things we're going to do. When we go into an extension, we can just click onto email templates, and you can see here we're only going to look at them, which is a voicemail message notification. If I tick that and just put in info@safford.co.uk, that means now anyone who leaves a voicemail on extension 1, that email, the actual audio file, is going to be emailed to me. That's really useful because it just means that as well as being able to pick it up on your actual desk phone, if you're out and about and you've got your smartphone connected to your emails, that means that you can actually pick that up from there. Mailbox, so you can actually click in your mailbox and you'll see any messages waiting there for you, and you can manage your greetings. Manage greetings basically means if you've recorded your own message on a mic, you can actually record the sounds over the phone as well, so you can just ring up and record messages over the phone that are stored directly on the system. But if you're going to have a professional voiceover done, they can just send you the audio file. You can choose what kind of greeting it is, browse, go and grab the file, upload it, and then you can just upload your greeting from there, which is again very handy. So that's the basic premise of the phone system. When you go into phone terminal setup, you can go back in and change any of the things that we actually looked at originally. If you need to change what direct dial is on a number, it's literally a case of clicking it, unassigning it, assigning other numbers. So it's very feature rich and functional. Incoming call rules, useful again. So you can put in a call divert as an example. onto your phone from the Cisco 7940 as an example. But if you get home from the office and you realise that you've not put call divert on from your phone, you literally click into here, type in the number. Can be anything. I'm just going to put in the office number, but this can be your mobile. Put a call divert on. That's done, and now any calls that come into that extension directly will be transferred straight through to that destination number, and then just by clicking the tick, you can toggle those rules on and off, and if you needed to, completely remove them as well. So again, very simple to use this system. So you can contact us for further information on 0845 241 1008. Thank you.